I gave my daughter a $500,000 beachfront condo, and when I arrived to visit her, I found her crying on the hallway floor, while my son-in-law and his parents had taken over every room. My son-in-law's father walked over to my daughter and yelled, "This condo is ours now. Get out on the street." My son-in-law laughed, until the moment I walked in. Then, silence fell over the place. My name is Sarah. I am 68 years old, and my whole life I have been a working woman, one with calloused hands and firm decisions. For 40 years, I worked as an accountant at an export company. I was never rich, but I was never poor either. I learned to save every penny, to invest wisely, to never depend on anyone. My husband died 5 years ago, a silent heart attack that took him while he slept. Since then, I have lived alone in a small house in the suburbs, surrounded by plants I care for every morning before the sun comes up. I have one daughter, only one, Emily. She is 35 and is the light of my life, although lately that light seemed to be dimming. Emily was always a sweet girl, maybe too sweet. The kind who prefers to give in rather than argue, to smile rather than confront. When she was 7, another girl took her favorite pencil at school. Emily came home crying, but when I asked if she had asked for it back, she just shook her head. "I don't want to cause trouble, Mom," she told me with those huge, tear-filled eyes. That phrase became the motto of her life. I don't want to cause trouble. And Ryan, her husband, knew it perfectly. Ryan came into our lives 7 years ago, tall, with a quick smile and smooth words. At first, I found him charming. He worked in sales, always well-dressed, always with a funny story to tell. Emily fell in love with him in 3 months. They got married the following year in a small ceremony where I paid for half of everything because Ryan's family, according to him, was going through temporary financial trouble. Temporary trouble that never ended. Over time, I started to notice things. The way Ryan let Emily pay the bills while he bought expensive clothes. The way he talked about my daughter in front of others, with that joking tone that was really just disguised contempt. "Look at Emily, always so scatterbrained," he would say, laughing as she looked down. The first few years, I tried to talk to my daughter about it. "Mom, you are just being overprotective," she would respond. "Ryan is good to me. He loves me." But I did not see love in her eyes, which grew more tired every day. I did not hear it in her voice, which grew quieter every time she called me. It was not present in that tiny apartment they rented in a noisy neighborhood, where Emily worked double shifts as an administrative assistant while Ryan changed jobs every 6 months. 4 months ago, I went to visit her unannounced. I knocked on the door 3 times before she opened it. Her hair was pulled back in a messy ponytail, and she had a coffee stain on her gray blouse. Behind her, the apartment was a chaos of dirty dishes and clothes thrown about. Emily tried to smile, but I saw her red eyes. She had been crying. "What happened?" I asked, walking in without waiting for an invitation. "Nothing, Mom," she replied automatically. "I am just tired." But I knew my daughter. I had known her since she was a cell in my womb. I sat on the worn-out sofa and waited. The silence stretched between us until she finally broke down. "Ryan wants me to ask you for money to buy a new car," she whispered. "He says his is no good anymore and that you have savings you are not using. He says that as my mother, it is your obligation to help us." I felt my blood boil, but I kept my voice calm. "And what do you want, Emily?" She looked at me, surprised, as if no one had asked her that question in years. "I don't know, Mom. I just want him to be happy. I want us to stop fighting about money. I want to live in a place where I do not hear the neighbors screaming through the walls." That night, driving back to my house, I made a decision. I was not going to give Ryan money for a car he would probably sell in 6 months. But I was going to give my daughter something no one could take away from her. A place of her own, a refuge, a chance to breathe. For 2 years, I had been considering selling a property my husband and I had bought decades ago as an investment. It was a small plot of land near the coast that had appreciated considerably over time. Instead of selling it, I decided to use it. I hired an architect, took out a loan using my savings as collateral, and for 3 months, I supervised every detail of the construction of a 2-bedroom condo with an ocean view. $500,000. every cent I had saved over 40 years of work, every sacrifice, every overtime hour, all invested in those white walls, in those light tile floors, in those enormous windows that let in the ocean light. I put it all in Emily's name, hers alone. The day the construction was finished, I invited my daughter to dinner at my house. Ryan was on a business trip, which was perfect. I made her favorite meal, that chicken stew with vegetables she had loved since she was a kid. After dessert, I took a white envelope from my purse. "Happy early wedding anniversary," I told her. Emily opened the envelope, confused. Inside were the keys and the property deed. Her eyes scanned the papers once, twice, 3 times before she understood what she was looking at. "Mom, this is—" "You can't. It is too much," she stammered, tears rolling down her cheeks. "It is not too much," I replied, taking her hands. "It is yours, only yours, a place where you can be happy." Emily cried in my arms like she had not cried since she was a child. "Thank you, Mom. Thank you, thank you, thank you." I did not know how much I needed this. The next day, we went to see the condo together. The look on Emily's face when she opened the front door was all I needed to know I had made the right decision. She walked slowly through each room, touching the walls, looking out the windows, smiling in that genuine way I had not seen in years. "It is perfect," she whispered. "Perfect." That was the last time I saw my daughter truly happy. 3 weeks after giving her the keys, I decided to visit. I wanted to see how she was decorating the condo, if she had bought new curtains, if she had put pictures on the walls. I wanted to see her happy in her new home. I called Emily that morning to let her know I would be stopping by in the afternoon, but her phone just rang and rang. I tried 2 more times. Nothing. I figured maybe she was at work, so I decided to go anyway. I had a copy of the keys she had given me. "For emergencies, Mom," she had said, smiling. I drove for 40 minutes to the coast. It was a beautiful day, with a clear sky and seagulls flying over the ocean. I parked in front of the building and walked up the stairs to the 3rd floor where the condo was. As I walked down the hall, I heard voices. Loud voices, male voices, arguing about something. I stopped in front of the door. The number clearly said 205, Emily's condo. I rang the bell. The voices stopped abruptly. I waited. Nothing. I rang again, this time more insistently. I heard hurried footsteps, and then the door opened, just a crack. It was Emily, but not the Emily I had left 3 weeks ago, radiant with happiness. This Emily had swollen eyes, dirty hair pulled into a sloppy bun, and was wearing the same clothes I had seen her in 2 days earlier when we briefly ran into each other at the grocery store. "Mom," she whispered, her voice cracking. "I was not expecting you today." "I called you 3 times, I replied, trying to see into the condo over her shoulder. "What is going on? Who is here?" "Nobody, Mom. Just me and Ryan. We were just sorting some things." But I knew my daughter. I knew every gesture, every little lie she had ever told to protect others. And this was a lie. I pushed the door gently but firmly. "Emily, let me in." She hesitated, her eyes filling with tears. But finally, she stepped aside. What I saw inside made my blood run cold. The condo, my beautiful condo that I had built with so much care, was unrecognizable. The living room was full of open suitcases, men's clothing thrown everywhere, empty beer bottles on the coffee table. But what shocked me the most was seeing 2 complete strangers sitting on the couch as if they owned the place. An older man, about 70, with slicked-back gray hair and a big gut hanging over his belt. Next to him, a thin woman with brassy, dyed blonde hair, looking at me with a bored expression. Ryan's parents, Frank and Brenda. I had seen them only twice in all these years. Both times at family gatherings where they barely spoke to me. "What is going on here?" I asked, my voice controlled, though inside I felt a volcano about to erupt. Frank stood up from the couch with a smile that did not reach his eyes. "Ah, the mother-in-law. What an unexpected surprise." "This is my daughter's condo," I said, looking him straight in the eye. "What are you doing here?" "We are visiting," Brenda replied in a syrupy, sweet, completely fake tone. "Ryan invited us to see his new home. It is a beautiful place, is it not?" His new home? Not our new home. Not Emily's home. His new home. I looked at Emily, who was standing by the door with her arms crossed over her chest, as if trying to make herself small, invisible. "Where is Ryan?" I asked. "In the master bedroom," Frank replied, gesturing down the hall. "Resting. He has had a very busy few days with the move." The move. My stomach clenched. I walked toward the hallway, ignoring the stares from Frank and Brenda. Emily tried to stop me. "Mom, please do not make a scene." But I was already at the master bedroom door. I opened it without knocking. Ryan was lying on the bed. My bed. The bed I had personally chosen for Emily, scrolling on his phone with his shoes on the white comforter. "Ryan," I said firmly, "I need to talk to you. Now." He barely looked up, as if my presence were a minor interruption to his day. "Sarah, did not know you were coming. What are your parents doing here?" "Visiting," he replied with that casual tone he always used when he was lying. "They are going to stay a few days, a few weeks maybe. They need a place to stay temporarily. This condo belongs to Emily." "Emily is my wife," Ryan said, finally getting off the bed. "What is hers is mine too. That is how marriage works, Sarah. Maybe you have forgotten after so many years alone." The blow was deliberate, calculated to hurt me. But I was not here to fight with Ryan. I left the room and looked for Emily. I found her in the kitchen, washing dishes that were clearly not hers. "Emily, come with me. I need to talk to you in private." "She cannot go anywhere," Frank yelled from the living room. "She is making lunch for us." Something in me snapped right then. I walked back to the living room and stood in front of Frank. "This apartment is in my daughter's name. Hers alone. You have no right to be here." Frank laughed, a deep, nasty laugh that made my skin crawl. "Of course we have a right. We are Ryan's family, and Ryan is your daughter's husband. Legally, this apartment also belongs to him." "That is not true," I replied, though a seed of doubt began to grow in my chest. Was there some law that gave Ryan rights to the property? Had I made a mistake by not protecting the condo better? "It is absolutely true," Frank continued, walking toward me with that horrible smile. "And now that I think about it, this place is perfect for us. Brenda and I were tired of living in that old, noisy apartment. There is plenty of room here. We could stay, indefinitely." I looked at Ryan, who had come out of the bedroom and was leaning against the doorframe with his arms crossed, watching the scene with a bored expression. "Ryan, you cannot allow this." "I do not see what the problem is," he said, shrugging. "There are 2 bedrooms. Emily and I can sleep in one, and my parents can take the other. Or maybe my parents will take the master bedroom, since it is bigger and my father has back problems." "And where is Emily going to sleep?" "On the couch, if necessary," he replied, as if he were talking about the weather. "On the couch." My daughter was going to sleep on the couch of the condo I had given her. I looked for Emily. She was at the kitchen entrance, her hands clutched against her chest, crying silently. And in that moment, I knew this had not started today. This had been going on for days. Maybe since the moment Ryan told his parents about the condo. "Emily, get your things. You are coming with me." "She is not going anywhere," Frank said, taking a step toward me. "This is my son's wife. Her place is here, taking care of her family." "I am her family," I replied, my voice trembling with contained rage. "You are her past," Frank spat. "We are her present and her future. And this condo, this beautiful condo that cost you so much work, is ours now." Brenda laughed from the couch, a high-pitched, unpleasant sound. "You should leave, Sarah. You have caused enough trouble for one day. Emily has a lot of work to do. We have clothes to wash, food to prepare." I looked at my daughter. I waited for her to say something, to defend me, to scream at them to get out of her house. But Emily just stared at the floor, her shoulders slumped, defeated. "Emily," I whispered. "Please." She looked up. Her eyes were so full of pain it hurt my soul. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said, her voice barely audible. "Please, just go." Those words cut through me like knives. But I understood. I understood that this was bigger than just an unexpected visit. This was a pattern that had been developing for years. Ryan had been waiting for the perfect moment, and the condo had been that moment. Fine, I said finally, though every fiber of my being wanted to stay and fight. I am going, but I will be back. Do not bother, Ryan said with a smile. Next time you come, you might not recognize the place. We are thinking of doing some renovations. Maybe paint it a different color. Change the furniture. Make it feel more like our home. I left the condo with a broken heart. But just before I closed the door, I looked back one last time, and what I saw chilled me to the bone. Emily was kneeling on the hallway floor, picking up clothes from a trash bag, while Brenda yelled something at her about how to fold shirts correctly. My daughter, my beautiful daughter, reduced to a servant in her own home. I closed the door and went down the stairs, my legs shaking. When I got to my car, I sat behind the wheel and let the tears fall. I cried for my daughter, for my mistake in thinking a condo could save her, for underestimating the cruelty of Ryan and his family. But as I cried, something else began to grow inside me. It was not sadness. It was fury. A cold, calculated fury I had not felt in years. They thought they had won. They thought that because they were younger, more cunning, more ruthless, they could take what was my daughter's. They were wrong. I dried my tears, started the car, and drove straight to the office of David, my trusted lawyer for 20 years. If Ryan and his family wanted to play dirty, I was going to teach them that a 68-year-old woman who had survived 40 years in the corporate world knew exactly how to fight back. And this time, I was not going to back down. David's office was downtown, in an old building with marble stairs and high ceilings. I walked up the 3 flights, breathless, my heart still pounding from what I had just witnessed. The secretary recognized me immediately. Mrs. Sarah, do you have an appointment? No, but I need to see David urgently. It is an emergency. She hesitated for just a second before picking up the phone. 2 minutes later, I was sitting across from David's desk, a 60-year-old man with pure white hair and wire-rimmed glasses that had always given me confidence. Sarah, you look upset. What happened? I told him everything, every detail, from the moment I knocked on the condo door to the final image of Emily kneeling on the floor. David listened without interrupting, taking occasional notes on a yellow legal pad. When I finished, he leaned back in his chair and steepled his fingers over his stomach. I understand your distress, he said finally, but I need to ask you an important question. When you put the condo in Emily's name, did you establish any kind of legal protection? Any special clauses? I put it in her name only. The documents clearly state it is her sole property. David nodded slowly. That is good, but there is a problem. Emily is married. Depending on the marital property laws under which they married, Ryan might have rights to the property. I felt the floor drop out from under me. Are you telling me Ryan can keep the condo? Not exactly, David replied, leaning forward. But he does have rights as a spouse. However, there is something we can do. I need to review all the original documents for the property. Bring me every piece of paper you have related to the purchase, the construction, and the transfer to Emily's name. I have them at home. I can bring them first thing tomorrow. Perfect. In the meantime, there is something else you need to know. David paused, choosing his words carefully. If Ryan is planning what I think he is planning, he is going to try to sell the condo. With $500,000 at stake, it is exactly the kind of move someone like him would make. And if he manages to convince Emily to sign the necessary papers— She would not do that, I interrupted, though my voice sounded less certain than I would have liked. Sarah, the Emily you saw today crying on the floor, do you think she has the strength to refuse if Ryan pressures her? The question hung in the air like toxic smoke. Because the answer was no. My daughter did not have that strength. Not after years of Ryan molding her for this exact moment. What can I do? I asked, feeling desperation climb my throat. First, the documents. Second, I need you to try and contact Emily again. If you can speak to her without Ryan present, we might get a better understanding of the situation. Third, and this is important, do not confront Ryan directly again. If he feels threatened, he might speed up his plans. It is already too late for that, I admitted. I already confronted them. I told them the condo is Emily's. David sighed. Then we have to move fast. Very fast. I left the office with a knot in my stomach. The sun was already setting. painting the sky in shades of orange and red. I drove home on autopilot, my mind racing. When I arrived, I went straight to the study where I keep all my important documents in a gray metal filing cabinet. I found the folder marked with Emily's name and opened it on the desk. There they were: the original title to the land, the contracts with the builder, the invoices for materials, the construction permits, and finally, the transfer document, which clearly stated the condo was now the sole property of Emily Morales Garcia. But as I reviewed each page, looking for anything that could help, my phone rang. It was an unknown number. I hesitated before answering. "Hello, Sarah." It was Emily's voice, barely a whisper. "Emily, thank God. Are you okay? Where are you?" "I am in the bathroom. I have 5 minutes before Ryan comes looking for me." "Mom, I am so sorry." "I am so sorry. You do not have to apologize. Emily, listen to me carefully. I need you to tell me the truth. Has Ryan asked you to sign any papers?" There was a long silence. Too long. "Emily, answer me." "Yes," she finally whispered. 2 days ago, he asked me to sign some documents. He said they were to put the condo in his name too, to protect us legally, so we would both be owners." I felt the world stop. "Did you sign?" "No. I told him I needed to think about it, that I wanted to talk to you first." That was the day his parents arrived. "Ryan knows I have not signed. I think he is waiting for the right moment to pressure me again." "Mom, I am scared. Frank said last night that if I do not sign soon, they are going to make my life impossible. He said I can sleep in the hallway until I understand my place in this family." The rage I had felt earlier returned, multiplied by 1,000. "Emily, listen to me very well. Do not sign anything. Do you understand me? Nothing. No matter what they say, no matter what they threaten." "But Mom, I do not know how much longer I can take it. They are here all day. Brenda makes me clean everything, cook for them, wash their clothes. Frank sits on the balcony smoking and throwing the butts on the floor for me to pick up. And Ryan just laughs. He laughs at everything. You are going to take it because I am going to get you out of there. But I need time. A few days. You can resist for a few days. I do not know. Emily, look at yourself. You are in the bathroom of your own condo, hiding like a criminal. This is not life. This is not love. This is abuse. Do not say that, Emily replied, her voice breaking. Ryan is just under a lot of stress. His parents need help, and he is being a good son. And what are you? A bad daughter for not letting them trample you? Silence. I have to hang up, she finally said. I hear footsteps. Emily, wait. But the line was already dead. I stood there with the phone in my hand, staring at the dark screen, feeling a mix of helplessness and determination. My daughter was trapped, but not for much longer. I did not sleep that night. I stayed up in the study, reviewing every document over and over, looking for something David could use. And then, around 3 a.m, I found it. A paper I had completely forgotten about. An additional clause that the notary had suggested I include during the property transfer. A protection clause. The clause was simple, but powerful. It stated that any attempt at sale, transfer, or modification of the condo's title required my explicit written consent for the first 5 years following the transfer. The notary had explained at the time that this was a common protection when a parent gifted valuable property to children who might be vulnerable to external pressure. It is to protect her from impulsive bad decisions or from people who want to take advantage, the notary had told me that day. I had signed it without thinking much about it, believing it would never be necessary. How wrong I was. That morning, I took photos of the document with my phone and sent them to David with a message. I found this. Is it useful? At 7 a.m, after I had barely managed 2 hours of sleep on the study sofa, my phone rang. It was David, and his voice sounded more animated than I had heard it yesterday. Sarah, this is pure gold. With this clause, Ryan can do absolutely nothing without your authorization. The condo is ironclad. Are you sure? Completely. Even if he manages to get Emily to sign something, the transaction would be legally void without your consent. This changes everything. I felt like I could breathe for the first time in 24 hours. What do we do now? Now, we prepare the counterattack. But I need you to bring me all these documents physically. I am going to make certified copies and prepare a legal letter making it very clear that any attempt to manipulate the property will result in immediate legal action. Come to my office at 10. I arrived at 9:45. David already had everything prepared. We reviewed each document meticulously, him making notes and preparing the case as if we were going to trial tomorrow. There is something else you need to know, David said as he organized the papers. I have been doing some research on Ryan Garcia. It turns out this is not the first time he has tried something like this. What do you mean? 4 years ago, when he was married to his first wife, he tried something similar. He convinced her to put her house in both their names. Then he filed for divorce and fought for half the property. I froze. Ryan was married before? For 3 years. They divorced, and she lost the house in the process. I had to make some calls to colleagues, but I got the information. It is a pattern, Sarah. This is not a coincidence or a misunderstanding. It is a calculated strategy. Nausea rose in my throat. Emily knew nothing about this. I was sure of it. Ryan had lied to her about his past, about who he really was. Why did Emily never tell me Ryan was married before? Probably because she does not know either. Men like Ryan are experts at rewriting their history. I bet he told her he had a long-term girlfriend, maybe a serious relationship, but never mentioned marriage. I have to tell her. You should, David agreed, but do it carefully. If Ryan finds out you are digging into his past, he could get dangerous. Dangerous how? Men who manipulate like this often have control issues, and when they feel they are losing that control, they sometimes react badly. I left David's office with a folder full of certified documents and a legal letter ready to be delivered. But instead of feeling relieved, I felt worse. Because now I knew my daughter was not just trapped in a bad marriage. She was trapped with a professional predator. I spent the rest of the day trying to contact Emily without success. Her calls went straight to voicemail. I sent her text messages that were left on a single check, undelivered. It was as if she had vanished. At 6 in the evening, I made a decision. I went back to the condo. This time, I was not going to knock politely. This time, I had a plan. I parked half a block away and walked toward the building. From the street, I could see the condo's balcony on the 3rd floor. Frank was there, just as Emily had described, smoking and looking out at the ocean like he owned the world. I walked up the stairs silently and stood in front of the door. Before knocking, I pressed my ear against the wood. I heard voices inside. Brenda's voice, high-pitched and bossy. No, that is not how you fold a towel. Did your mother teach you nothing? I am sorry, Emily's muffled voice replied. I will do it again. You should do it right the first time. Ryan deserves a wife who knows how to take care of his home. I took a deep breath and knocked on the door. This time, hard, with authority. The sounds inside stopped. I heard footsteps approaching. The door opened and Ryan appeared, his expression annoyed. Sarah. Again. I need to talk to Emily. Emily is busy. I do not care. I am going to talk to my daughter. Ryan blocked the doorway with his arms crossed. Look, we already had this conversation yesterday. Emily is my wife. She lives here with me and my parents. If she still wants to see you, she can visit you at your house. But you are not welcome here. This condo belongs to Emily, not you. We will see how true that is very soon, he replied with a smile that sent shivers down my spine. What does that mean? It means I am talking to some lawyers about my marital rights. It turns out that as a husband, I have more power than you thought. And by the end of the month, this condo is going to have my name on the documents too. Or better yet, we are going to sell it and move into something bigger where we all have our space. You cannot sell anything without Emily's consent. Emily does what I tell her, Ryan replied, leaning toward me with cold eyes. She always has. She always will. Because she loves me. Because she knows that without me, she is nobody. You are a monster. I am a man who knows how to get what he wants. And now, if you will excuse me, my wife has to make dinner. He tried to close the door, but I put my foot in the way. Ryan, listen to me closely. If you hurt my daughter, if you force her to sign something she does not want to, if you continue to treat her like your servant, I will destroy you." Ryan laughed, a genuine laugh that echoed in the hallway. "You? A retired old woman who lives alone in a small house? You are going to destroy me? Please, Sarah, go home and plant your flowers. Leave the adult business to the adults." This time, he slammed the door. I heard the deadbolt slide into place. I stood there, shaking with rage and helplessness. But then I heard something else, a choked sob from inside. Emily was crying. I pulled out my phone and wrote her a message. "Emily, I know you are suffering. I know you are scared, but I need you to trust me. Do not sign anything. Hold on a little longer. I am going to get you out of there. I promise." The message delivered. 1 check, 2 checks. And then, after a minute that felt like an eternity, 3 dots appeared, showing she was typing. I waited, holding my breath. Finally, her reply came. "Tomorrow they are taking me to the title company. Ryan says if I do not sign, his parents will stay forever and I will sleep in the hallway until I understand." Mom, I am so tired. My hands shook as I typed the response. "Do not go. Make any excuse. Sickness, a headache, whatever. Give me 24 more hours." The dots appeared again, disappeared, reappeared. "I will try." I went down the stairs, my heart pounding wildly in my chest. 24 hours. That was all I had to save my daughter. That night, I called David on his personal cell. It was 9 o'clock at night, but this could not wait until morning. "David, Ryan is taking Emily to the title company tomorrow to sign over the condo." I heard David swear quietly, something I had never heard him do in 20 years. "Are you sure?" Emily just confirmed it. "She says they are pressuring her, that if she does not sign, they will make her sleep in the hallway indefinitely. That is coercion. It is illegal. We can use that. But we need to stop it before it happens. Once she signs, even under duress, it will be much more complicated to reverse it." "You are right," David admitted. I heard papers rustling on the other end of the line. "Okay, this is what we are going to do. First thing tomorrow, I am filing for an injunction at the courthouse. I will request a freeze on any transaction related to the property until the coercion situation is investigated. With your consent clause and Emily's testimony, we have a solid case. What if it is not in time? What if they get her to sign before the judge approves it? Then we will have to invalidate the signature afterward. It will be harder, but not impossible. Sarah, I need you to understand something. This is going to get ugly. Ryan is not going to take this lying down. I do not care. I just want to protect my daughter. I know. That is why I am going to do everything in my power. I will call you tomorrow as soon as I have news from the courthouse." I hung up the phone and sat in the kitchen with a cup of tea that went cold in my hands without me taking a single sip. Outside, the night was dark and quiet. I thought of Emily, probably lying on that uncomfortable couch, or maybe on the hallway floor, while Ryan and his parents slept in the bedrooms that should be hers. I remembered when Emily was little and had nightmares. She would run to my room in the middle of the night and climb into my bed. I would hold her and sing to her until she fell back asleep. I would promise her that I would always be there to protect her, that I would never let anything bad happen to her. How easy it was to protect her then. How impossible it seemed now. At 6 in the morning, I was already awake, though I had not really slept. I showered and dressed in my best gray suit, the one I used to wear to important meetings when I was still working. I wanted to look serious, professional, strong. At 7:30, David called me. "I am already on my way to the courthouse. The request is ready. Judge Martinez is on duty today, and I know him well. He is fair and has no tolerance for abuse. If all goes well, we will have the order before noon. Thank you, David. I do not know what I would do without you. Sarah, we have been working together for 2 decades. I know the kind of person you are. I know how much you sacrificed for that condo. I am not going to let them steal it from you, and I am certainly not going to let them do this to Emily." The next few hours were the longest of my life. I tried to distract myself by cleaning the house, sorting old mail, anything to not look at the clock every 30 seconds. At 10 o'clock, Emily sent me a message. Ryan says we are leaving in an hour. I told him my head hurts, but he does not care. He said I can take an aspirin in the car. Hold on, David is working on something. Do not sign anything until I tell you it is safe. I am scared, Mom. I know, sweetie, but this is going to be over soon. Trust me. At 11 o'clock? Nothing. At 11:30, still no news from David. I started pacing the living room, biting my nails, something I had not done since I was 20. And then, at 11:47, my phone rang. We got it, David said without even saying hello. Judge Martinez approved the injunction. No notary or title company in the city can process any transaction related to that property without facing legal consequences. I have already sent certified copies to the 3 main title companies in the area. I felt my legs tremble with relief. How much time do we have? The order is valid for 30 days while we investigate the case. But Sarah, this is just the first step. Now comes the hard part. We need to get Emily out of that situation. How? Legally. She is the owner of the condo. She has every right to ask Ryan and his parents to leave. But she needs to do it officially. She needs to file a complaint for harassment and request an eviction order. Emily will never do that. She is too scared. Then we need to give her the courage to do it. Or we need to force the situation some other way. At that moment, my phone vibrated with an incoming message. It was from Emily. We are in the car, going to the title company downtown. Mom, I do not know what to do. I replied immediately. When you get there, they will not be able to process anything. There is a court order preventing it. Stay calm and let Ryan find out for himself. What? How did you do that? I will explain later. Just stay safe. Do not let Ryan blame you for this. It was not your decision. 15 minutes passed, 20, half an hour. And then another message came in, but this one was not from Emily. It was from an unknown number. This is Ryan. I do not know what the hell you did, but the title company says they cannot process anything related to the condo. Says there is a court order. This was your fault, you interfering old hag. Now Emily is going to pay for what you did. The message chilled my blood. I immediately tried to call Emily. She did not answer. I sent her messages. No reply. I called 5 more times. Nothing. David, Ryan just threatened me. He says Emily is going to pay for the court order. I cannot reach her. I am going over there. Give me the condo address. No, I am going. I need to see that she is okay. Sarah, if Ryan is furious, it could be dangerous. I do not care. She is my daughter. I drove to the condo faster than I had driven in years. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly my knuckles turned white. I made it in 25 minutes instead of the usual 40. I ran up the stairs 2 at a time, ignoring the pain in my knees. When I reached the 3rd floor landing, I heard screams. Screams coming from Emily's condo. Ryan's voice, loud and full of rage. It is your fault. This is all your fault. You called your mother. You told her our plans. I did not. I swear. I did not know anything about any order. Liar. You have always been a pathetic liar. I heard the sound of something smashing against a wall. A plate, maybe, or a glass. And then I heard something I will never forget. The sound of a hand hitting a cheek. A slap. And Emily's choked cry. I did not knock on the door. I pounded it with my fist. Hard. Over and over. Ryan, open this door right now. Everything went silent on the other side. A heavy, tense silence. And then I heard Ryan's footsteps approaching. The locks unfastened, one by one. The door flew open. Ryan was there, his face red with fury, his hair a mess, his eyes bloodshot. Behind him, I could see Emily on the living room floor, her hand on her cheek, which was already starting to turn red. You, Ryan spat, pointing a finger at me. You ruined everything. Get your hands off my daughter, I said, in a voice I did not recognize as my own. A cold, lethal voice, completely devoid of fear. She is my wife. I can do what I want with her. Touch her again, and I swear you will end up in jail. Ryan laughed, but it was a humorless laugh, the laugh of a man on the verge of collapse. Jail? For what? For disciplining my own wife? I took out my phone and took a picture of Emily on the floor with her marked cheek. Ryan lunged for the phone, but I stepped back. That is evidence. I have already sent it to my lawyer. If you touch me, if you try to take this phone, you will only make your situation worse. You are an interfering witch, Ryan hissed. From day one you have tried to separate us. You never wanted me for your daughter. You are right. I never wanted you for her. Because I saw exactly who you were from the beginning. A manipulator. An abuser. A man who preys on kind women. Frank appeared behind Ryan, with Brenda clinging to his back like a shadow. What is going on here? Frank asked in an authoritarian voice. This woman is interfering in my son's marriage. This marriage ended the moment your son hit my daughter, I replied, never taking my eyes off Ryan. It was just a slap, Brenda said with disdain. Wives sometimes need to be reminded of their place. I turned to look at her. This woman who had raised a monster and was now defending him. Do you hear what you are saying? Do you really think it is okay to hit someone? I raise my children with discipline. Ryan knows how to handle his household. This is not his household, I said, raising my voice. This condo belongs to Emily, only Emily, and all of you are getting out of here, right now. We are not going anywhere, Frank replied, crossing his arms. We have as much right to be here as anyone. Ryan is the husband. We are his family. You are trespassers. And if you do not leave voluntarily, I am calling the police. Ryan laughed again, that horrible laugh that made my hair stand on end. Go ahead, call the police. I will tell them that you are the one harassing us, that you forced your way into our home, that you are trying to take Emily against her will. I turned to my daughter, who was still on the floor, watching the scene with glazed-over eyes. Emily, get up, we are leaving. She looked at me with an expression that broke my heart. It was fear mixed with shame mixed with something worse. Resignation. Mom, I cannot. Yes, you can. Get up and walk toward me. If I leave with you, Ryan is going to. Ryan is going to what? I interrupted her. Hit you again? Lock you up? Take everything you have? He is already doing it. Emily, you have already lost everything but your dignity. Do not let him take that, too. Ryan took a step toward Emily, his fist clenched. If you take one more step out of this condo, do not ever come back. You hear me? Ever. Perfect, I said before Emily could answer. That is exactly what is going to happen. She is leaving, and she is never coming back to you. I walked over to Emily and held out my hand. She looked at me, then at Ryan, then back at me. I saw the exact moment something shifted in her eyes. A tiny spark of the Emily she used to be. The brave girl she once was before Ryan turned her into a shadow. She took my hand. I helped her up. Her legs were shaking so badly she almost fell, but I held her steady. We started walking toward the door. Ryan blocked our path. You are not going anywhere. Move, I said, my voice like steel. This is my apartment. No, it is not. And right now, I am recording this conversation. Every word, every threat. It is all going straight to the police and my lawyer. It was a lie. I was not recording, but Ryan did not know that. I saw the doubt cross his face. Frank put a hand on his son's shoulder. Let them go. They are not worth the trouble. Ryan clenched his jaw, but he finally stepped aside. We walked past him, my arm around Emily, feeling her tremble against me. When we reached the door, Ryan spoke one last time. When you come crawling back because you will, I am not going to be here waiting. I am going to sell this condo and keep every penny, and you will end up with nothing. Just like your mother. 2 lonely, miserable women. I did not turn around. I did not answer. I just kept walking. We went down the stairs and out to the parking lot where my car was. When we finally reached it, Emily collapsed. She fell to her knees on the pavement and began to sob, a deep, gut-wrenching cry that came from the very depths of her soul. I knelt beside her, ignoring the pain in my own knees, and just held her as she wept. She cried for the lost years, for the abuse she had endured, for the life she had wasted on a man who never truly loved her. It is okay, I whispered, stroking her hair. You are safe now. It is over. It is not over, Mom, Emily sobbed. He is going to sell the condo. He is going to keep everything. Everything you worked for. Everything you sacrificed. Listen to me, I said, taking her face in my hands so she would look at me. Ryan cannot sell anything. There is a court order preventing it. And even if he could, the condo was never the important part. You are. Your life. Your safety. Your happiness. But you wasted $500,000 on me. I did not waste anything. That condo served its purpose. It gave you a reason to get out. It showed you that you deserved something better. And now, it has brought you back to me. That is worth more than all the money in the world. Emily clung to me like a small child. I held her, until her sobs quieted, until she could breathe again without gasping. Finally, I helped her into the car. Before starting the engine, I looked up at the third-floor balcony. Ryan was there, smoking a cigarette, watching us with an expression I could not decipher from this distance. But I did not care. He had no more power over us. I drove to my house in silence. Emily stared out the window, saying nothing, her hand still on her swollen cheek. When we arrived, I took her straight to the bathroom and got a bag of ice from the freezer, wrapping it in a clean towel. Put this on your face. It will help with the swelling. She obeyed mechanically. I made her a cup of chamomile tea, her favorite since she was a girl, and we sat in the kitchen. The silence stretched between us, but it was not uncomfortable. It was the silence of two people who had survived a storm and were now learning to breathe again. What happens now? Emily finally asked, her voice small. Now, you rest. Tomorrow we go to David's office and start the divorce proceedings, and we get your condo back. I do not want to go back there. Ever. It is contaminated with everything that happened. You do not have to go back if you do not want to. We can sell it when this is all over, and start fresh. Or you can stay here with me for as long as you need. Are you not angry with me? For being so weak, for letting it get this far. I took her hands in mine. I was never angry with you. I was terrified for you, worried about you, desperate to save you, but never angry. Abuse is not the victim's fault. Emily, you are not weak. You survived. And now, you are going to heal. Emily began to cry again, but these tears were different. They were tears of relief, of release. That night, Emily slept in her old room, the one I had kept exactly as she left it when she moved in with Ryan years ago. The lavender-colored walls, the shelves full of books she loved as a teenager, the floral comforter she had picked out herself. I tucked her in like I used to when she was little and sat on the edge of the bed until she fell asleep, watching her breathing finally grow slow and deep. When I left her room, I allowed myself to cry for the first time all day. I cried silently in the hallway, my back against the wall, letting out all the fear and rage and relief I had been holding in. My baby had been in danger, and I had almost been too late. Almost. The next morning, I woke up early. Emily was still asleep, probably getting her first real, fearless rest in weeks. I made breakfast, called David to update him on everything that had happened, and took more pictures of Emily's cheek, which now showed a dark purple bruise. Evidence we would need. Sarah, this changes everything, David said when I told him about the assault. We are not just talking about a property dispute anymore. This is domestic violence. We can get a restraining order against Ryan immediately. And with this evidence, the divorce proceedings will be much more favorable for Emily. What about the condo? With the injunction in place, Ryan cannot do anything for 30 days. That gives us plenty of time to start the formal eviction process. Since Emily is the sole legal owner and there is evidence of abuse, the judge will be on our side. How long will this all take? The divorce could take several months, but we can get the restraining order in days. And the eviction, under these circumstances, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. 2 or 3 weeks where Ryan and his parents would still be living in my daughter's condo. 2 or 3 weeks where they could destroy everything, sell the furniture, damage the property, but at least Emily would be safe here with me. When Emily finally woke up around noon, she came downstairs slowly. She was wearing one of my old robes, her hair uncombed, but there was something different in her eyes. It was not the defeated look from yesterday. There was a glimmer of determination I had not seen in years. "Good morning, Mom." "Good morning, sweetie. How did you sleep?" "Better than I have in months," she admitted, sitting at the kitchen table. "I dreamed about Dad." My heart clenched. My husband had adored Emily. If he were alive, he never would have let Ryan near her. "What did you dream?" "That we were on the beach, all three of us. I was little, maybe 5 or 6. Dad was teaching me how to find seashells, and he told me to never accept less than I deserve, that I should never settle for someone who makes me feel small." Tears started to roll down my cheeks. "Your father always knew you were special, that you deserved the whole world." "I forgot, Mom. I forgot who I was before Ryan. I forgot that I was ever strong. You did not forget. You just tucked it away deep inside to survive. But it is still there, and now it is coming back." Emily took my hand across the table. "I want to sue Ryan. I want a divorce. I want my condo back, and I want him to pay for everything he did to me." "Then that is exactly what we are going to do." That afternoon we went to David's office. Emily told him everything, her voice trembling but firm. The years of manipulation, the constant humiliation, the financial control, and finally, the physical assault. David listened, taking meticulous notes, his expression growing more serious with each detail. "Emily, what you are describing is a classic pattern of abuse. It was not your fault. None of this was your fault," he said when she finished. "And I promise you, we are going to make Ryan answer for his actions." "How long will it take?" "We are going to move fast. We are filing the request for a restraining order today. Tomorrow, we will start the divorce proceedings, and in parallel, we will proceed with the eviction of Ryan and his parents from the condo. And if Ryan refuses to leave, then the police will remove him. With a court order, he has no choice." We left the office with a folder full of papers to sign and a feeling that we were finally taking control of the situation. But when we got home, there was a car parked in front of my driveway. A car I recognized immediately. Ryan's car. Emily tensed up beside me. "What is he doing here?" "I do not know, but do not worry. He is not getting in." We got out of our car and walked toward the door. Ryan got out of his vehicle and approached us, his hands raised in a gesture of peace. "Emily, please, I just want to talk." "You have nothing to say to her," I replied, putting myself between him and my daughter. "Sarah, this is between my wife and me. Please, step aside. Your wife has a restraining order being processed against you. If you get any closer, I am calling the police." Ryan ignored my threat and looked directly at Emily over my shoulder. "Emily, I made a mistake. I know I did. I got carried away by frustration, but you know I love you. That I have always loved you. Come home, and we can fix this. My parents are gone. It is just you and me again, like before." "Your parents are gone?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. "Yes, I asked them to leave. I realized you were right. They were interfering in our marriage. Now it is just us. We can start over." I felt Emily hesitate behind me. I knew my daughter. Part of her, the part that had loved Ryan once, wanted to believe it was possible. "Emily, do not believe him," I said without turning. "This is what abusers do. They hit you, then they apologize, they promise to change, and the cycle starts all over again." "I am not an abuser," Ryan protested, his voice full of hurt. "It was a moment of weakness. I was under so much pressure. The business, my parents, all the stress." "Stress is no excuse for hitting," I said firmly. "Emily, please," Ryan continued, his voice pleading. 7 years together, 7 years of marriage. Are you going to throw all that away over one moment of anger? You know my heart. You know I would never intentionally hurt you. You have been hurting her," I said, "for years. You manipulated her, controlled her, humiliated her, and when she finally tried to stand up for herself, you hit her. It was one slap, one slap. It is not like I hospitalized her. One slap is enough," a voice said from behind me. It was Emily, speaking for the first time directly to Ryan. "One slap was enough to show me who you really are. Emily, baby." "Do not call me that," Emily said, her voice stronger now, stepping out to stand beside me instead of behind me. "You do not have the right to call me that anymore. You are my wife. I am your victim. There is a difference. I watched Ryan's face change. The mask of remorse fell away, and something dark and ugly appeared underneath. My victim? After everything I did for you? After putting up with you for all these years? You were a mediocre office assistant when I met you. I gave you status. I gave you a respectable name. And this is how you thank me. Running off to your mother like a scared little girl. There he is, I said with bitter satisfaction. There is the real Ryan. The one my daughter has been seeing all this time but was too afraid to admit. Ryan glared at me. This is your fault. Always interfering, always sticking your nose where it does not belong. If you had not given her that damn condo, none of this would have happened. You are right, I admitted. If I had not given her the condo, Emily would still be trapped in that miserable life with you, with no way out. So I guess she should thank me. You are going to regret this, Ryan threatened, taking a step toward us. I raised my phone. One more step and I am dialing 911. You are on private property without an invitation. That is called trespassing. Ryan stopped, but his eyes burned with hatred. Fine, have your little victory, but I am keeping the condo. And when I sell it, you will not see a single cent. You cannot sell what does not belong to you, Emily replied, her voice surprisingly calm. And even if you could, I would not care. I would rather live on the street than spend one more day pretending this is love. Ryan just stood there, staring at Emily as if seeing her for the first time. As if he could not believe this woman he had controlled for 7 years was finally standing up to him. I saw the moment he realized he had lost his power over her, and that enraged him more than anything I could have said. You are going to regret this, he said, his voice low and dangerous. When you are alone, with no money, with no one who wants you, you are going to remember this moment, and you are going to wish you had been smarter. I have been alone for years, Emily replied. Alone in a marriage where my husband treated me like a servant. Alone crying in the bathroom while his parents yelled at me. Alone sleeping on the floor of my own condo. So your threat of loneliness does not scare me. Because nothing can be worse than being alone with you right next to me. The words hit Ryan like physical blows. His face turned red, his fists clenched, and for a moment, I thought he was going to try something violent. But then, he seemed to remember where he was, that I had my phone in my hand, ready to call the police, that he was no longer in control. This is not over, he finally spat. I will see you in court. He turned and stalked back to his car. He peeled out with so much force the tires shrieked on the pavement. We stood there, Emily and I, watching him drive away until his car disappeared around the corner. Emily began to shake. I put my arm around her shoulders and guided her into the house. Inside, she collapsed on the sofa and began to cry. But these tears were different. They were tears of liberation mixed with fear, relief mixed with uncertainty. I did it, she whispered through her sobs. I told him no. I stood up to him. I am so proud of you, I said, sitting next to her and holding her. I know how hard that was. I am so scared, Mom. What if he is right? What if I do end up alone and miserable? Emily, look at me, I said, taking her face in my hands. Being alone is not the worst thing that can happen to you. The worst thing is being with someone who destroys you, piece by piece, until you do not even recognize the person in the mirror. You are going to be fine. You are going to be more than fine. You are going to be yourself again. Over the next few days, things moved quickly. David filed all the necessary paperwork. The restraining order was approved in 48 hours. Ryan was legally barred from coming within 100 yards of Emily. The divorce proceedings were formally started, along with the eviction request for the condo. Meanwhile, Emily began to heal. Slowly, like a wounded animal learning to walk again. The first few days, she barely spoke. She spent hours staring out the window or sleeping. But little by little, she started to emerge. She started to smile again, to laugh, to remember who she was before Ryan. 1 week after Emily left the condo, David called us with news. The judge approved the eviction. Ryan has 72 hours to vacate the property, or the police will remove him by force. 72 hours, I repeated. That is in 3 days. Exactly. By Friday at 5 o'clock in the evening, that condo must be empty. And I have more good news. The judge also ordered Ryan to pay temporary compensation to Emily for the improper use of the property while he was there with his parents. How much? $5,000. It is not much compared to the value of the condo, but it is something. And it sets an important legal precedent for the divorce case. Emily was next to me, listening on speakerphone. I saw her eyes fill with tears again. But these were tears of relief. He really has to leave. He really does, David confirmed. And if he tries to stay or causes any damage to the property, he will face additional criminal charges. Sarah, I suggest that on Friday, you and Emily go with a police officer to supervise Ryan handing over the keys and ensure the condo is in acceptable condition. Friday arrived faster than I expected. Emily was nervous all morning, pacing the kitchen while I made coffee that neither of us really drank. At 4 o'clock, David picked us up. He had arranged for a police officer to meet us there. When we arrived at the condo, a moving truck was parked outside. We walked up the stairs and found the door open. Inside, Ryan was supervising 2 men carrying boxes. The apartment was practically empty. All the furniture I had bought for Emily was gone. "Where is the furniture?" Emily asked, her voice trembling. Ryan turned and looked at us with a cold expression. "I sold it. Needed money for the move. That furniture was not yours to sell," David said immediately. "It was Emily's property. It was marital property," Ryan replied with a nasty smile. "And since we are still married, I had every right to dispose of it." The police officer who was with us took a step forward. "Sir, you are going to have to compensate the missus for the value of that furniture, or you will face charges for theft." "Good luck proving what it was worth," Ryan replied, shrugging. I walked through the empty condo. The walls had holes where pictures had been hung. The kitchen floor had grease stains that looked like they had been left intentionally. In the bathroom, the mirror was cracked. Not completely shattered, but with a long crack running from top to bottom. "What happened here?" I asked, pointing to the mirror. "An accident," Ryan replied, his voice devoid of emotion. "This is intentional vandalism," David said, taking pictures with his phone. "This will all be documented and added to the lawsuit." "Do whatever you want," Ryan said. "I am leaving anyway." The movers finished loading the last boxes. Ryan took the condo keys out of his pocket and dropped them on the kitchen counter with a metallic clink that echoed in the empty space. "There are your precious keys. Enjoy your empty condo." He started to walk toward the door, but Emily's voice stopped him. "Ryan." He turned, and for a moment, I saw a flicker of hope in his eyes, as if he thought she was going to change her mind, to ask him to stay. "I want you to know something," Emily continued, her voice firm. "For a long time, I thought the problem was me, that if I were just a better wife, prettier, more accommodating, you would be happy and treat me well. But now I understand it was never about me. It was always about you. About your need to control, to dominate, to feel superior by crushing someone else." "Are you done with your speech?" Ryan asked in a bored tone. "Almost. I just want you to know that I forgive you." That took him by surprise. I saw it on his face. "What? I forgive you. Not because you deserve it, but because I need to. I need to let go of all this anger and pain so I can move on. So, I forgive you. And I pity you. Because you are going to spend the rest of your life being exactly who you are now. And that is a worse prison than anything the law can do to you." Ryan stared at her for a long moment. I saw emotions cross his face, anger, confusion, something that almost looked like pain. But finally, he just shook his head. "You were always dramatic," he said, and walked out of the condo. We heard his footsteps going down the stairs, then the sound of the moving truck starting up and driving away. And then there was only silence. A deep, clean silence that filled the empty condo. Emily turned slowly, looking at the space that was once her home and had become her prison. The white walls, now scratched and dirty. The stained floors, the windows facing the ocean, still letting in that beautiful golden afternoon light. "We can fix it," I said, putting my hand on her shoulder. "We can paint it again, buy new furniture, make it beautiful again." "Or we can sell it," Emily replied, "and use the money to start completely over, with no ghosts, no bad memories. Is that what you want? Emily nodded slowly. I think so. I think I need a new place, where every corner does not remind me of what happened here, where I can just be me without all this weight. Then that is exactly what we are going to do. We stood there for a moment longer, the two of us in the middle of the empty condo, watching the sun set over the ocean. And even though the space was damaged and empty, even though it had lost its original beauty, it somehow felt lighter, freer, because Ryan was gone, and he was never coming back. 6 months later, Emily and I were sitting on my deck, drinking coffee as the morning sun warmed our faces. The divorce had been finalized 3 weeks earlier. Ryan did not put up much of a fight in the end, probably because his lawyer explained he had no chance of winning. Emily got her maiden name back, received compensation for the sold furniture, and Ryan had to pay for the entire legal process. The condo sold in 4 months. A young couple bought it, fell in love with the ocean view, and did not mind that it needed renovations. With the money from the sale, Emily bought a small studio apartment downtown, near her new job. She had gotten a better position at a graphic design firm, something she had always wanted to do but Ryan told her was a waste of time. You know what day it is today? Emily asked, looking into her coffee cup. Friday, I replied, not understanding the question. It is the anniversary. Exactly 1 year ago, you gave me the keys to that condo. I had completely forgotten. So much had happened in these months that the dates had blurred in my memory. 1 year, I repeated. It feels like a lifetime. It does feel like a lifetime, Emily said with a small smile. The person who received those keys does not exist anymore. She was someone so lost, so afraid of her own shadow. And who are you now? Emily thought for a moment, looking out at the garden where the flowers I tended to every morning were in full bloom. Now, I am someone who knows how to say no, someone who understands the difference between love and control, someone who would rather be alone than in bad company. You sound like your father, I said, tears welling in my eyes. He would be so proud of you. I think he always knew I had this strength inside. I just needed to find it myself. My phone rang, interrupting the moment. It was an unknown number. I hesitated to answer, but something made me press the green button. Hello, Sarah Morales? A woman's voice I did not recognize asked. Yes, this is she. Who is calling? My name is Patricia Ruiz. I am an attorney. I represent the ex-wife of Ryan Garcia, your former son-in-law. I got your number through public records from the divorce case. I hope you do not mind me contacting you. I sat up straighter in my chair, instantly alert. What do you need? Well, it is a bit delicate. My client Rachel was married to Ryan before he met your daughter. She lost her house in the divorce due to manipulations, similar to what I understand Ryan attempted with your family. When we learned about your case through legal contacts, Rachel wanted to reach out. She has information that could be useful if you decide to take any further legal action against Ryan. I looked at Emily, who was watching me curiously. What kind of information? Documented behavior patterns, messages, emails that show premeditation in his actions. Rachel saved everything because she knew she might need it one day. And when she heard there was another victim, she felt a responsibility to help. Why would she do that? Why help us? Because nobody helped her. And she does not want another woman to go through what she went through. Sometimes, Mrs. Morales, justice does not come from the courts. It comes from women helping each other. I gave her my email address and thanked her for the call. When I hung up, I explained everything to Emily. I saw her eyes fill with tears, but not of sadness, of something deeper, solidarity, understanding, the certainty that she was not alone, that she had never really been alone. There are more like me, she whispered, other women he hurt, and you all survived. And now, you can help each other. That afternoon, Emily and I met Rachel at a coffee shop downtown. She was a woman in her 40s, with short hair and intelligent eyes that had seen too much. She told us her story, so similar to Emily's it was chilling. The same manipulation tactics, the same gradual isolation, the same financial exploitation. I am so sorry, Rachel said, taking Emily's hand. I am sorry I did not warn anyone after my divorce. I thought if I just walked away, If I just forgot him, it would be fine. But he just found another victim. It is not your fault, Emily replied. None of this is the victim's fault. It is his, only his. The two women hugged. Two strangers united by shared pain, but also by shared strength. And I, sitting there watching them, understood something fundamental. My $500,000 condo had not been a waste. It had not been a mistake. It had been exactly what it needed to be. A catalyst. A tool that forced Ryan to show his true colors before it was too late, before Emily lost more years of her life, before the damage was irreparable. The following months brought more changes. Emily started therapy and finally began to process everything she had been through. She made new friends at her job. She went out to dinner, to the movies, for walks on the beach. She started painting again, something she had abandoned when she got married because Ryan said it was a childish hobby. Her small studio apartment filled with color and life and laughter. I changed, too. I learned to let go, to trust that my daughter was okay without me constantly watching over her. I went back to my plants, to my routines, but now with the peace of knowing I had done everything I could to protect what I loved most in this world. One night, almost a year after it all, Emily came over for dinner. I made her favorite stew, the same one I had made that night. I gave her the keys to the condo. We ate in comfortable silence, the kind that can only be shared by people who have been through hell together and come out the other side. Mom, Emily said after we finished eating, I never told you properly, but thank you. For what, sweetie? For not giving up on me, for keeping fighting even when I had stopped fighting for myself, for reminding me who I was when I had forgotten, for the condo not because it was expensive or beautiful, but because it was the rope that pulled me out of the pit. I would do anything for you, I said, my voice thick with emotion. 1,000 times over, if I had to. I know. And that is the difference between real love and what Ryan called love. Real love does not control you. It does not make you small. It does not take away your voice. Real love gives you wings, even when it means letting you fall so you can learn to fly. We hugged in that kitchen, mother and daughter, survivors of a storm that almost destroyed us but ended up making us stronger. And I understood that the real gift had not been the $500,000 condo. The real gift had been freedom, dignity, the chance to start over. That night, after Emily left to go back to her studio, full of paintings and new dreams, I sat on my porch looking at the stars. I thought of my husband, gone so many years now, and I whispered to the wind that our daughter was okay, that she had stumbled, that she had fallen, but that she had gotten back up, stronger than ever. And I thought of all the women like Emily and Rachel, trapped in situations they do not deserve, loving people who hurt them, believing there is no way out. And I wished that all of them had someone who loved them enough to fight for them when they could no longer fight for themselves. Because I learned something in this whole process. True love is not staying silent when someone hurts the one you love. It is not accepting abuse in the name of peace. It is not looking the other way when injustice happens right in front of you. True love is fierce. It is protective. It is being willing to lose everything, even the relationship with the person you love, if it means saving them from themselves and from those who want to destroy them. And sometimes, the best inheritance you can leave is not money or property. It is teaching that peace should never cost you your dignity. That being alone is infinitely better than being with someone who makes you feel alone. That a true home is not a place of walls and deeds, but the ability to look in the mirror and recognize the person looking back. The $500,000 condo fulfilled its purpose. It was not the home I thought it would be. It was something better. It was the key that opened the door to the cage where my daughter had been trapped. And even though that condo no longer existed, even though it had been sold and another family lived there now, its legacy remained. In Emily's bright eyes, in her recovered laugh, in her reborn strength, in her future, full of possibilities. And that, in the end, was worth far more than all the money in the world.